Hello, and welcome back, my dear friends. This is the Life Lessons Podcast, your cozy Saturday night companion. Nothing flashy, nothing complicated, just real talk, from one human being to another. And today's topic, it's one that we all, at some point, live through even if we don't always name it out loud. I'm talking about fear. Fear, anxiety, nervousness, tension, call it what you want. Some feel it now and then. Others carry it with them like a quiet weight for years. Some are simply cautious. Others live with a constant hum of dread in the background. And a few, they feel fear like a storm, like a shadow that follows them into every room. Maybe you felt that before. Maybe you're feeling it now. If you're someone who genuinely wants to grow, to become stronger, more resilient, then chances are you've noticed that fear is one of the biggest things holding you back. You might not say it out loud. Maybe it shows up as procrastination or hesitation, or that sinking feeling in your chest when you face something unfamiliar. But deep down, you know what it is. So, what do we do? How do we move through fear without pretending it doesn't exist? How do we stop it from running our lives? Today, I want to give you something special. Not just words of motivation, not just empty positivity, but a real scientific discovery, one that changed how I personally relate to fear. A concept that helped me and countless others take small steps into courage, again and again. And this discovery, it's not just for people with social anxiety or public speaking nerves. It helps with something even deeper. The fear of being judged, misunderstood, rejected. The fear of new beginnings. The fear of what if it doesn't work out. We'll walk through it together. I'll break down the science, then show you how to apply it to real life, not in theory, but in actual, everyday situations. Work, study, relationships, creativity. This is one of those ideas that sounds simple. Almost too simple, but if you practice it, really live with it, it changes everything. And no, you won't need to memorize technical terms or have a psychology degree. I'll explain it in the most human way possible. Let's begin, all right. Let's roll up our sleeves and look at the science. Back in the late 1960s, a psychologist named Robert Zijunk noticed a curious pattern. When people repeatedly saw the same image, even a random shape, or a word from a language they couldn't read, they slowly began to prefer it. No one taught them to like it, they just did. Zijunk called this the mere exposure effect. The more often our brains meet something we think, more that something starts to feel friendly, safe, even likable. At first glance, that sounds trivial. But pause for a moment and think about what it means for every fear you carry. Social anxiety. Your brain labels new faces as potential threat. See those faces, often innocuous colleagues at the coffee machine, and the threat level quietly drops. Fear of public speaking. Each time you stand on a tiny stage, or even practice in front of a mirror, you're teaching your brain, stage lights, danger, fear of rejection. Every interaction in email, a post, a handshake is a microdose of exposure that dilutes the poison of what if they don't like me. Zijunk's work has been replicated hundreds of times. Advertisers rely on it when they plaster billboards along your commute. Musicians depend on it when a catchy chorus is repeated 5 times before the song ends. The principle is simple, yet profound. Repetition rewires the threat detector in your limbic system. How the brain decides, friend or foe, inside your skull sits an almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. Think of it as a hyper-vigilant bouncer. The first time you encounter something unfamiliar, a new coworker, a blank stage, a foreign city, the amygdala pulls the alarm. Unknown equals danger until proven otherwise. Now add repetition. Each safe encounter, is like stamping a loyalty card for your amygdala. 1. Nothing bad happened. 2. Still safe. 3. Hey, this might actually be okay. Eventually, the alarm stops ringing. What felt threatening now feels neutral. Sometimes, it even flips all the way to positive. That's why you can grow to love a song you once thought was annoying. Exposure turned irritation into affection. From theory to footsteps, let me share a quick story. A close friend of mine, let's call him Don, had a paralyzing fear of networking events. He dreaded the small talk, the name badges, the awkward pauses. Dan's solution: he forced himself to attend one local meet every single Thursday evening. The rule was simple: he could leave after 30 minutes if it was unbearable, but he had to show up. Week 1, sweaty palms, one ginger ale, and a quick exit. Week 2, he recognized the volunteer at the check-in desk and managed a polite good evening. Week 5, he found himself laughing at a joke beside the snack table. Week 12, people greeted Dan by name before he even put on his badge. Don hadn't changed his personality. He'd simply let the mere exposure effect do its quiet magic. By week 12, his amygdala had relabeled networking event from predator to background noise. The fear never disappeared entirely, but it shrank to a size he could step over. Why small, consistent doses matter? Notice the pattern. Small dose, 30 minutes, tolerable. Repeatable, consistent schedule, every Thursday, predictable, trackable, safe context, no high stakes, zero catastrophic consequences. That trio, consistent, safe, is the sweet spot for rewiring fear pathways. Push too hard, too fast, and the amygdala doubles down. Oh, too soft or sporadic, and nothing changes. But steady exposure in bite-sized pieces. That's the neuroscience of courage. Now that we understand the psychology behind the mere exposure effect, the idea that familiarity leads to comfort and even trust, the real question becomes, how do we actually apply this in daily life? How do we use this principle to overcome fear of social interaction, fear of rejection, fear of failure, in a way that feels practical and manageable? The answer is, we create a gentle exposure plan, and the very first step: accept that discomfort will be part of the journey. But that's okay. You don't need to force yourself to be confident right away. You just need to show up. Scenario 1. You're afraid of talking to strangers. Start by placing yourself in environments where people are present, but you don't need to speak yet. Maybe it's a class, a coffee shop, a book club, a local event, anywhere that's safe but social. Week 1. Just go. Sit quietly. Observe. No pressure to speak. Week 2. Go again. This time, smile or nod at someone. Week 3. Ask a small question. Something like, have you been to this class before? Or, do you know what time this starts? This may seem minor, but what you're doing is powerful. You're gradually exposing yourself to a social environment without demanding performance from yourself. Each repetition sends a message to your brain. This isn't dangerous. I can be here. As others begin to recognize you, you become less of a stranger, not only to them, but to yourself in that setting. Scenario 2. You want to grow on social media, but you're afraid to post. Let's say you're a creator, a photographer, coach, writer, or small business owner. You've been told to build a personal brand, to share your story. But every time you think of posting, fear creeps in. What if nobody likes it? What if I'm not ready? What if people judge me? Here's your exposure plan. Week 1. Post a greeting. Just say hello. No perfect photo, no fancy caption. Week 2. Share a small insight, something you learned, or a story from your day. Keep it simple. Keep it honest. Week 3. Share a photo or thought that feels personal, even if it's not perfect. Don't aim to go viral. Your goal isn't to be spectacular, it's to be consistent. As you continue to show up, people start recognizing you. They associate your name with value.com, honesty, safety. And that's how trust begins, not with a grand reveal, but with quiet repetition. Scenario 3. You want to apply for a job, but you're afraid of rejection. Many people stay stuck because they're scared of being ignored or told no. They don't send their resume. They don't reach out to people they admire. They don't ask professors for advice. They wait and hope someone will magically notice them. But if you understand the mere exposure effect, you realize being seen regularly is what builds connection. You don't need to send 50 resumes in a day. Instead, week 1, choose one company you admire. Read their posts. Watch their videos. Week 2, comment on something they've shared. Add thoughtful insight. Week 3, send a short, polite thank you message. Maybe ask a question genuinely, without expecting anything. Week 4, introduce yourself briefly. Mention why their work resonates with you. Attach a short version of your portfolio, not to beg for a job, but to open a door. This isn't about selling yourself. It's about becoming familiar. When a job does open up, you're not just another name. You're someone they already feel they know. What does this process require? 3 key things. First, consistency. Don't expect magic overnight. Think of it like watering a plant, small drops every day. Second, a safe space. Don't throw yourself into toxic environments. Choose spaces where it's okay to stumble. Third, kindness to yourself. Let yourself be awkward. Let your voice shake. Let your post get to likes. It's fine. You're building resilience, not chasing perfection. We've talked about how consistent presence reduces fear in public, at work, online. But now, let's take this idea even deeper, into the heart of human relationships. Because fear doesn't just show up in new environments, it shows up in our connections with others. The fear of not being loved, the fear of being misunderstood, the fear of losing someone important, or the fear that we're just not enough. These fears often go unspoken. We carry them silently, but they affect the way we speak, the way we show up, the way we let people in. So here's something beautiful and important. The same principle, the mere exposure effect, applies in building intimacy and emotional trust. Let me explain. Trust isn't built in grand gestures. It's built in daily presence. Think about a close friendship, a sibling bond, a romantic partner, or even a mentor. What makes you feel safe with them? It's not the one big moment when they helped you, though. That matters. It's the repetition of being there, again and again, without disappearing. They text to check in. They remember something small. They stand by you in moments when it would have been easier to walk away. That's what the brain registers as safe. This person doesn't vanish when things get hard. This person is real, and I see them often, and they see me. In love, it's not the spark that keeps us together. It's the steady flame. At first, passion feels exciting, but also a little scary. You don't know if the other person is truly reliable. You wonder, will they change their mind? Will they disappear? What soothes that fear over time isn't perfect words. It's consistency. Calling when you said you would. Listening, even when the other person struggles to speak. Apologizing when you mess up, and still showing up the next day. Choosing to be present, not just when it's easy, but when it's hard. That's what love grows from. Not intensity, but intention. Not perfection, but presence. When someone is afraid to open up, don't demand trust. Earn it with time. If you're trying to support someone who's been through trauma or heartbreak, you might feel helpless. They shut down. They keep their distance. They test your patience. Here's what psychology and life tells us. Don't push them to open up. Just keep showing up. Be there without trying to fix everything. Let them know, again and again, I'm not going anywhere. And slowly, their guard comes down. Not because you forced it, but because repetition made you feel safe to their nervous system. That's not just kindness, that's neuroscience. The human brain relaxes when patterns are predictable. When a person keeps coming back again and again, it becomes a signal of emotional safety. Even with yourself, presence matters. Sometimes we expect instant healing. We want to get over our fears overnight. We think, if I meditate once or journal once, I should feel better. But you're human. Your nervous system needs repetition to believe something is safe. So if you want to build self-trust or overcome internal fear, do it slowly. Check in with yourself every day. Don't wait for a crisis to care. Make time to sit with your thoughts, to breathe, to feel, to stay with yourself. That's how you become your own safe space. And when you do, your fear loses power, because now you're not running away from yourself. You're walking beside yourself. So, you've made it this far. You now understand something powerful, that fear isn't always a sign of danger. Sometimes, it's just a signal from your brain saying, this is unfamiliar. I don't know if we're safe yet. But now you also know how to respond. Not by forcing confidence, not by pretending you're fearless, but by creating familiarity through quiet, steady exposure. Let's wrap this up by turning it into something practical. Something you can use today, tomorrow, and for the rest of your life. Step 1. Identify the fear. Be honest. Be gentle first. Ask yourself, what fear has been quietly holding me back? Is it the fear of public speaking, of being rejected, of starting over in a new city, job, or relationship? Is it the fear of failing, or even the fear of being seen? Write it down. Name it, because what we don't name, we can't change. Step 2. Plan a tiny exposure, not big, just repeated now that you've identified the fear. Ask, what's one small way I can be exposed to this fear safely today? If you're afraid of public speaking, can you record a short voice memo and play it back to yourself? If you're afraid of meeting new people, can you go to a coffee shop and just sit there for 30 minutes, quietly present? If you fear sharing your work online, can you post one small idea, not for likes, but to practice visibility? Make it small, repeatable, and kind. The goal isn't to impress. It's to show up again and again until your brain learns, hey, this isn't so scary after all. Step 3. Set a consistency goal, not perfect, just present. Pick a rhythm that feels sustainable. Maybe it's 3 times a week, maybe daily, maybe only weekends. That's fine too. The secret is consistency, not intensity. If you disappear for too long between exposures, your brain goes back to fear. But if you keep showing up, even quietly, even imperfectly, safety builds. So create a gentle routine. Show up scared. Show up unsure. Just show up. Step 4. Notice the shift. Celebrate the familiar over time. Something subtle and beautiful happens. You stop overthinking. You stop bracing yourself. You start relaxing into the thing that once terrified you. It doesn't mean fear disappears completely. It just means fear loses control over your decisions. When that shift happens, celebrate it, not with fireworks, but with awareness, with gratitude. Say to yourself, look how far I've come, just by staying close to the fear, instead of running from it. Step 5. Teach others. Help them feel safe. To hear something I believe deeply, when you overcome your fear, you light the way for others. You don't have to be a guru, a therapist, or an expert. Just your presence, your story, your quiet courage can become a gift. So when someone else is trembling, When they're afraid to take the first step, don't push them. Just tell them your story. Tell them how you started small, how you kept showing up, and how fear, over time, became something you could breathe through, not be controlled by. That's how healing spreads. That's how courage multiplies. Final words. You are safe to be shine bee. Before we close today's episode, I want to say this. You are not broken because you feel fear. You are alive. You are human. And you are capable of growing into someone who acts with courage, even when fear is whispering in your ear. You don't have to wait to be fearless. You just have to be willing. Willing to show up, to be seen, to try again, bit by bit, day by day. And with each quiet repetition, you build a new life, a new self, one that's not ruled by fear, but guided by purpose. Thank you for listening. Thank you for showing up. I'll see you in the next episode. Maybe, more truthfully, you'll see yourself. Take care. Until next time.